The mainstream media networks have been obsessed with the DNC. Across the board, they're saying, oh my God, it's brilliant, it's touching, it's amazing, they did a great job. Now that is just, it's so disconnected from what I've seen in left-wing circles. Across the board, the left is really let down by this. They think it was fake, they think it was hokey, they think it was packed full of platitudes and cliches as a substitute for actual policy substance. They think, in my opinion, they were too self-obsessed as there's a pandemic and a depression. They're up there basking in the glory, Kamala telling her story, giving her about her personal life. And I'm watching this going, okay, but we need Medicare for all. We need universal basic income. There's a pandemic and a depression. No disrespect, no offense. I don't really care about your personal life. I don't care about any politician's personal life. So, but the media, polar opposite. Oh my God, it was such a great convention. It was brilliant. And they're using the correct electoral and governing theory. So here's CNN host Fareed Zakaria laying out how he thinks the DNC and Joe Biden's campaign is nailing it. Let's watch, then I want to respond.
But first, here's my take. The Democratic National Convention began with a mosaic of Americans reciting the preamble to the U.S. Constitution.
We the people.
It was a striking display of ethnic, racial, and gender diversity. But more importantly, this time around, the Democrats took care to celebrate the kind of ideological diversity that is crucial to winning the White House on November 3rd. The convention prominently featured progressive icons like Bernie Sanders and Stacey Abrams, moderates like Hillary Clinton and former Republican Michael Bloomberg, conservatives like John Kasich and Colin Powell. Many on social media reacted furiously to including Republicans, with one user sarcastically asking, "What time is Dick Cheney speaking?" But Joe Biden seems to understand that Twitter will not cast the deciding vote in this election. He is returning to a winning formula for the Democrats, which is to be a big tent party. The humorist Will Rogers once quipped, "I am not a member of any organized political party. I am a Democrat." The joke expressed an important truth. The Democrats dominated American politics from the 1930s through the 1960s because they included all kinds of people, from Southern segregationists to Northern liberals. It was a Faustian bargain. But that coalition rescued the country from the Great Depression, passed Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, Head Start, and a host of other programs that helped whites and minorities alike.
Okay, so he gets it exactly backwards here. He brings up the 1930s and how the Democrats did so well in the 1930s, and that example actually disproves his overall theory. Because what was the deal with the Democrats dominating in the 1930s? It's very simple. FDR. What did FDR give us? Social democracy. The New Deal. So now he could say, oh my God, but the coalition was made up of all these different people. Why and how was it made up with all those different people? Because they agreed on the basics. We're in a depression. We have to get out of a depression. What's the best way to do it? Tax the wealthy, redistribute, do a New Deal, shovel-ready jobs. Okay, that's why the Democrats dominated, because social democracy means you're actually standing for something. You're actually fighting for working people. So yes, there were different parts of that coalition, but they all signed up to the FDR agenda. That is the opposite of what's going on today. So what's his argument? Well, he says, hey, listen, Democrats were celebrating their ideological diversity, which is a good thing. They're a big tent party. That's a good thing. So he's arguing this notion of a big tent party is the way that the Democrats win. Here's the problem. There's a contradiction in that worldview. If you believe in such a big tent party that anybody's welcomed in, well, then you quite literally stand for nothing. Because you'll take people on both sides of every single issue. So if you stand for people on both sides of every single issue, then what do you believe? What do you believe? Well, you believe both sides of every issue, which means you're fundamentally contradicting yourself on every single issue, which means you have no real core. You have no real values. So you literally cannot have it both ways. You cannot have a big tent party that's so big that allows in your ideological enemies. Because then you're by definition vapid and you don't stand for anything. So the real way we should approach this, my argument, is the 1930s. The real way we should approach this is the FDR way. So what does that mean in practice in the year 2020? Here's what it means. If you're going to be part of this movement, you have to agree to the basics. Now, do I allow for ideological diversity on ancillary issues? Of course, absolutely, because they're ancillary issues. But not every issue can be an ancillary issue because then you don't stand for anything. So what are the basics? Well, in my ideal world, the basics would be you have to be for Medicare for all. You have to be for fighting for healthcare for everybody in the middle of a pandemic when tens of millions of people don't have healthcare and we're seeing COVID bills for over $1 million a pop sometimes. So you have to be for Medicare for all. You have to be for universal basic income in the pandemic. You have to be for ending the wars. You have to be for a living wage. These are the things that you have to be for. Listen, can there be reasonable disagreement as to what exactly the top marginal tax rate should be? Of course. Somebody might say 39%, somebody might say 45%, somebody might say 60%. That's reasonable. That's an ancillary issue. That's granular details. Okay? What is not that is the goal of Medicare for all. What is not that is ending the wars. What is not that is universal basic income in a pandemic. So, the conversation that we should be having is, okay, what are the basics? What constitute the basics that are non-negotiable? FDR certainly had them. So it wasn't really a big tent party. It was people signing up to the social democratic agenda. That's what I want today. People signing up to the social democratic agenda. Do I care about your religion? Do I care about your skin color? Do I care about your background? Do I care about something that you tweeted in 2013? No. In that sense, we're a big party. We're a big tent party. When it comes to ancillary issues, we're a big tent party. But when it comes to the basics, no, we actually believe in something and we're going to fight for it. That's the way it should work. That's the way it worked in the 1930s. But he's glorifying the way it works today. What's the way it works today? Yeah, you have John Kasich and you have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. They're diametrically opposed on virtually every single issue. So which thing is going to be the thing that the Democratic Party fights for? You can't please both AOC and John Kasich. It is literally impossible. So which direction are you going to go? Well, the reality is they're going to go more in John Kasich's direction because they're corporatists and because they're path of least resistance people and because they're moderate Republicans. That's effectively what Joe Biden is. I'm arguing that's a bad thing. By the way, when they talk about big tent party and ideological diversity, really what that means is we're going to bring in the progressives and we're going to ignore everything they want, and we're going to bring in the conservatives and we're going to be more in agreement with them, more in alignment with them, and we're going to push for that philosophy. Why? Because that was his record to this point in his career. Why would it change? That's what Joe Biden is. He's a neoliberal corporatist. He pushed to cut Social Security, did it repeatedly. He supported the Iraq War. He supported the Patriot Act. He supported many of these outsourcing deals. I expect no different from him as president. He's gonna govern as a neoliberal corporatist the way he has his entire career. That's what I expect. But this big tent party stuff is just a ruse because it means the Democrats overall stand for nothing, but they'll go path of least resistance, which is neoliberal corporatist. But Fareed Zakaria is praising this as if it's a good thing. And he's bringing up the 1930s, which is an example that disproves what we're doing today. What the Democrats are doing today. Now, is it possible that this might work in terms of the Democrats winning? Sure. But the only reason it would work is because Donald Trump is so horrendously awful that this is just a change election, a swing election. That's it. That would be the only reason it works. Not because there's some sort of ideological brilliance in contradicting yourself and having no real governing philosophy, having no real meaning behind your party. I'm just so tired. It's just so tired. And by the way, nobody ever demands that of the right. Oh, big tent party, ideological diversity. Why is Fareed Zakaria not pestering the Republicans to reach out to me? Why are they not doing that? Because it's a ruse. Because it's a game. Funny. You elect Republicans, you get Republican policy. You elect Democrats, you get Republican policy. And then people like me and you who want to change that, oh my God, if we speak up, we're crazy, we're dumb, we're stupid, we don't know what we're talking about, we're strategically wrong, we don't know how to govern, we're not serious about politics, and all this nonsense. I'm sick of it. He has no idea what he's talking about. None of these people have any idea what they're talking about. None of them have any idea what they're doing. And it couldn't be more obvious.